G'day, this is X-Band, the Phantom Podcast. Our website is chroniclechamber.com and you can subscribe to our podcast via YouTube or through your favourite podcast apps. Please give us a rating that will help other fans find us. Today we are going to introduce an exciting development to raise funds for a worthy cause. LFMBEC, or the Lee Falk Memorial Bangalla Explorers Club, normally raises money for Sydney's Westmead Children's Hospital with a dinner. But today we have something a little bit different which is going to be happening, and it's all on the back of our special guest, Jamie Johnson. How are you, mate?
Very well. A little tired, actually. Speaking of the project.
Now, it's been a little while since you've been on the podcast, so welcome back.
Thank you very much. Always nice to be on.
So please tell us about this concept that you have spearheaded, and we can go from there.
All right. So obviously, I go way back with you guys, and listening to the podcast, we have just such a rich, stable of artists in Australia, both past and present. And as you know, with the Lee Falk Memorial and Bangalla Explorers Club dinner every year, with the fundraisers, a lot of us artists will just kind of chip in art here and there. And in the past, I've put in 10, 12 hours into a piece, and it may have only, it might have only gone under a silent auction. And I'm like, it didn't really get kind of the maximum it could kind of do. And I thought, what's a way we can kind of, organize it so, as just basically from the artist to give back. My intentions were very pure, but I also admire a lot of my fellow artists. So what I did was I invited 25, myself included, artists to contribute pencils. And all I said to them was, we're just donating our time. A 10 to 20 minute sketch is fine. A lot of them took a lot longer than that because I think, us artists, we like to toil away with things. And essentially what happened is I said, look, I don't want to take up any more of your time. You're already giving up your talent. Send me a scan. I'm going to print out what's called a blue line. I'm going to ink all of them on the same format. So they're all going to be A3 size. And we've gotten 22 living artists, and we were able to actually get the blessing of Keith Chatto, Lindsay Walker, and Peter Chapman. Artists past and present. We're calling this project For Those Who Came In Late. So being a generational thing, and the Phantom obviously passing down from generation to generation through being around for 80 plus years. So with Richard spearheaded the dinners, his passing last year has left a big hole, I think, in that community. I think it's probably now as good a time as any to kind of rally together and really just kind of just help them get on their feet. I know they've started a committee now, which is actually a really great thing. It's not just on the back of one person. They're sharing the load. And look, the fundraising efforts are amazing every year, but the way we're kind of structuring this, we're putting it all together. So I'm inking all 25, coloring all 25, and putting together what's called a jam poster, where I'm going to have 50 of them available to purchase from my table at Supanova. 100% of the proceeds of every sale from the original art and the jam all go towards the dinner, and it basically gets donated to Westmead Children's Hospital. Look, honestly, it's not a selfish reason, but my partner, my fiance, has cystic fibrosis, and Westmead Children's Hospital is basically the reason she's still alive today. So it's something pretty near and dear to my heart. So I just wanted to just give something back, and obviously use the platform we've got. And in collaboration with you guys, like I appreciate, you guys have got the platform directly to the fans as well. So it's really is a team effort. A lot, like you said, there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and you guys have been fielding a lot of calls. We've had a lot of back and forth and stuff. But look, if it all goes the way I think we can raise probably about maybe 8 or 9 grand, hopefully for to contribute to the kitty.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's as someone who spent a lot of childhood in hospitals as well. It's never a fun place for the kids, for the parents. So to be able to, I guess, all of us around the world in one form or the other are able to chip in to be able to support a wonderful cause. Are you able to let us know some of the artists that are being involved?
Absolutely. So it's all Aussie except the patron of the dinner. We got in touch with David Barry. So we've got Cy Barry's blessing to contribute a piece of art. So we've got Cy Barry. I'll be inking all of them, obviously. I'll be contributing pencils. And there's Glenn Ford, Paul Mason, Nicola Scott, Chris Val, Jason Paulus, Glenn Lumsden, Gary Chaloner, Grange Wallis, Jeremy McPherson, Antonio Lemos, Shane Foley, Dean Ranken, Wayne Nichols, Lauren Marshall, Alex Tripp, Matt Kyme, Lily McDonald, Marcelo Baez, Chewy Chan. We've also got Loopy Dave, who is a amazing illustrator who worked on Mad Magazine. He was slated to do some fandom stuff that never went through, but we thought we'd make his kind of his debut on this.
It's a potential of what we missed out on.
Oh, his stuff's so energetic. It's so fun and just joyful, and that was actually a real joy to work on that piece as well. And as I said, special thanks to the families of Peter Chapman, Keith Chato, and Lindsay Walker as well. So very, very nice, rounded. We've got some, the stablemates, the workhorses through your Grangers, your Jeremys, your Trips and Kymes, and then we've got people like Nicola, who are superstar artists, DC Comics. So I think Chris Val, who just in my eyes is like just this level. Just being able to like adapt my style for each artist was just such a joy. And it was a great challenge, actually. It kept me really loose, and I've been feeling really productive. I've been balancing a lot of other things. I had a 4-cover deadline while I was doing this, and while I got it done, I was kind of itching to get back into it. Like, I haven't worked on the Phantom in about, I think maybe 2 years was my last cover, and it just like it was enough. I'd been doing it. 2012 was my first one, and I've been doing, I think I got up to like 25 covers, and the board game interior, and just you get the file cards and the random knickknacks that you have to illustrate over time. I think I had enough time with the character to have some time away, but actually getting back into this kind of made me fall in love with it again. And it was just really, it was just a really fun, just joyful project, knowing we're doing such a good thing as well, and that everyone just donated their time. It was just really heartwarming. A lot of the people that I knew would be like crazy busy still carved out time in their schedule. There was only 2 we couldn't get, and they are just absolutely slammed, with their workload at the moment. But hopefully we'll get them on a future project as well.
I'm not sure if fans have kind of triggered or figured it out, but they're all kind of Australian artists. And obviously we live in Australia. While the fandom community is worldwide, this is going to be released at Supanova Sydney, which again is Australia. So why was it important for you to focus on Australian artists?
Well, I think, look, worldwide, gosh, the bench is deep. You got and so many living legends, Graham Nolan and Jeff Weigel and Cy Barry and everyone, and they're such just heavy hitters in the industry. And it's great because I feel like that's what I mean about generational. That's why I included Cy in this, because he is the patron of the dinner as well, of the Explorers Club, the Australian branch. But I think also he's the grandfather of the modern style in my eyes. I mean, look, I've spoken about my intro into Phantom Comics, many times, and I think maybe on the podcast, but Glenn Ford, who's my godfather, just came with a stack of Phantom Comics one day. He usually asked me what I liked for my birthday, and because he had the comic stores, he used to, X-Men and Batman and Turtles and everything. It was amazing. But then when he didn't ask me, he just kind of go, here you go. And I was just hooked. And it was really I saw some of the Scandinavian stuff. That was great. And I think I'd seen maybe some Don Newton, which still to this day is some of my favorite stuff. But Cy Barry, I think everyone can just say, I think he's just the definitive Phantom artist. So it was just very important to me that he was included. And then, gosh, it just going through the list, I went through my friends list first of all, and everyone was on there. So number one, it's okay, cool. We have this we don't even think about how deep the bench of talent is within our own country. I think we play it down a little bit. Aussies a bit more laid back.
The Aussie way of doing it as well. We always play things down and
and look, there are gem covers out there. We know gem pieces out there. We know of, obviously. I've contributed to myself as well, that are around the world, and they're amazing. And they include everyone that's worked on it, from writers to artists, and Billy Zane, who portrayed him, and all these amazing people. But I'm like, I just looking at it, and I'm going, number one, any more than 25 and my wrist would fall off. Like I couldn't think of the two that we weren't able to get. It was very sad, but I was also a little grateful because I think I was ready to, my hand was going to fall off by that stage.
The list kept on growing. And that's one of the things that I love about the community is like what you said, how they donate to the dinner, they donate so much of their time. A lot of these artists, not all of them, but for a lot of these artists, the Phantom was one of, not only did they grow up on it or they got a family member or they grew up on it, but for some of them, it was even like their first foray, and so it still holds that special place.
It was also my first professional work. It was the first person that actually took a chance and was able to put my art on a published cover. I could go into a newsagent that I used to go into and buy them myself and see my own art there. And there's no words could ever express that feeling. And you can play it down like it's nothing, but it is, every time it happens, it's the coolest thing. And being able to work on, look, I haven't worked on Batman yet, that's still on my list, but Phantom and Turtles were basically my childhood, and they're the two that I've been kind of flip-flopping between, and it's just dream come true. So
where can we buy this poster?
Okay, so the Jam poster itself, which is all of the combined images, which will be colored up. It is colored up. I'm going to be tweaking it. So I'm a guest at Supanova, Sydney and Perth, but it's for the Sydney show, because the dinner's on the Saturday night. I'm hoping we can drum up enough interest that we can sell them out. We're only doing 50 copies. They are going to be $50 each. Like I said, it is going to be all towards Westmead Children's Hospital. It'll be at my table in Artist Alley. And I'm hoping, and I know some people are very private, but I'm hoping to at least snap some photos with people holding it and making a big collage with a big thank you at the end as well. Because at the end of the day, we could be chipping away at this, and if none of them sell, it's all for naught. Phantom fans, like I said, I haven't worked on the character in 2 years, and I do at least 2 or 3 commissions a show still to this day, and I do between 6 and 8 shows a year. And it's very heartwarming. I've made some lifelong friends and connections, and it's just nice to give something back.
So they can come up to your booth, they can buy the print. There's going to be some of the artists who contributed who will also be at the show, so you can get their scribble, their signature on it. I'm sure there's going to be artists who might even try and do a little remark so they can get 2 of their pieces on there as well, make it a little bit more unique.
Please also understand, a lot of them would have drawn them smaller format. The good thing is of having the high-res scan. I asked them for pencils and for an ink signature. So what I did was I converted the pencils into blue line, printed out their signature, and I signed it. So I've inked it and I've signed it on each one. So it essentially in the comic world now, it's a very common practice now for professional inkers to ink over blue line, and it was the only way that I could, number one, get them all in time. Number 2, get them at all. Some have, like I said, aren't with us anymore. And some just don't work traditionally anymore as well. So just to keep it consistent. And the good thing about doing that is I was able to actually format it where you'll see them. So whether they sell before or after, they're going to be either picked up at or shipped out after the dinner. They're going to be all on display in A2 frames, which has like matting and A3. So you'll actually see everything lined up like a gallery. And yeah, it's quite interesting to see all the different styles. Some really kind of like energetic and cartoony styles, like your Paul Masons and your Lauren Marshall, Dean Ranken, Loopy Dave. Then you got like, your classic like Glenn Lumsden and Jason Paulos and, Glenn Ford and Shane Foley. And then you got like your really kind of, your hyper, I guess, modern styles like Nicholas Scott and Chris Vahl. And it's really just really cool to see it. And I've been trying to think about how to curate it because I've got to have it at a certain number. I think it's got to be 3 high and 5 across, or the other way around. So you got to group them, and it's got to kind of flow, and it's just been really it's cool. It's really I can't wait for people to see it all together. It's going to be a really cool experience. And honestly, even just like having Lindsay Walker's partner Kim gave me her blessing, and actually shared. So the image that I found was on Lindsay's DeviantArt, I think it was, and it was just deep in this, like, I think like 150 images on there, and I scrolled through, and there was a phantom that wasn't published, and I never saw Lindsay post it, and I hadn't gotten in touch with Kim. Another phantom fan had put me in touch with her, but I hadn't heard back from her yet. And I know from losing a father, and it's hard to go through those things, and you know, even asking A, for permission, but B, to go through this stuff can be a very painful process. So I thought, you know what, if this piece is cool, had more of a classic feel to it, like a Ray Moore kind of a feel to it, maybe like a McCoy. And so I said, you know what, I'll mock it up, I'll ink it, I'll do a little placeholder on the jam, and then when I do speak to Kim, I'll just say, this is kind of what I had in mind. And then when I finally got in touch with her, she shared with me that she actually had that image tattooed on her arm 6 months after Lindsay passed, which is it's a very special piece to her. So I sent her the time lapse, and I said I'd take a photo of it with all the rest of them up there. And it's just little things like that it really made my day, to be honest with you. And it's so crazy. Like, I have so much respect for so many different artists, but actually inking over their lines and some of the choices they make, it made me go like, God, this guy's a bad, like, to be honest with you, Lauren Marshall, she's a badass, dude. Like, I'm inking this stuff going like, it's just so energetic, and she makes it look so effortless, but actually so intricate. Me inking over Nicholas Scott, like it's, you know, Chris Vile, Lippy Dave, all these guys. It's just yeah, it was really, really cool. Really fun. It was pure, like I said, it was altruistic in nature, but the side effect was I had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. So were there any other pieces that spoke to you or were a challenge or anything like that while you were inking them?
Challenge. Okay, so Jason Paulos, who is my when I used to be in the food booth with him, we were always the naughty kids in class. Yeah, so he'd pencil something and pretty kind of, you know, risque and rude, and I'd ink it and just kind of quote unquote clean it up. He's notoriously quick, but he doesn't really think about anatomy or perspective too much sometimes when it comes to the quick stuff. During his sequentials, they're amazing. But he sent me I'm not going to swear, but a quote unquote poopy 5-minute drawing of Phantom by Gaslight. And it was a lot of, I had to decipher some of the lines, what the things were. And I cleaned it up, meaning I inked it in my style. I used his rough as a guide, as if it was layouts and I was inking for a story. And when I sent it to him, he just goes, "You fixed it." But it was a challenge in the sense that it wasn't just a straight up and down pen. There was a lot of leather and metal and you know, different textures and stuff, and just very intricate as well.
Yeah.
The last one I received was Chewy Chan, and I thought it was going to just be a phoned it in kind of sketch because he was super under the pump. I think he was traveling to Melbourne at the time. He asked if he could do it on Procreate, which is on the iPad. I said, mate, whatever you can, just give me 10 minutes, do it while you're eating your lunch, whatever, you know. And he sends me this fully fledged rendered Phantom in this like angled pose and just really fine feathered. And the reason I say it was a challenge, I added an extra obstacle when I was inking, because normally when I ink, and if you ever see me at a convention, I'm very close to the page. I feel very rude to show because I'm wearing a hat and I'm heads down and I'm very close and I'm moving the page around and I get in there and, you know, all that. Whereas here I've got it taped down, so it's time lapsing above. And because I can't get my head because it would be in a frame, I'm having to ink back here and really just get all the same intricate lines, but from different angles. And I'm trying to like move my arm around and break my wrist so it can go in that little spot. And so when you see the time lapse, you'll see my hand coming in at different angles all the time because I'm having to actually get around the camera. So it was a challenge in itself, but I mean, that's not a bad thing. You know, you got to find a way to get to the island. You know, there's a different way every time, and this one just happened to be a bit trickier. So
you would ink your art, your work in a specific way, and How did you go with, say, inking a Paul Mason to a Jason Paulos to a Chris Wilde to a Nicholas Scott? Like, how did you change your inking process in a sense?
Hmm.
The thing that I've liked about the work that you've done is that you can still tell it's a Cy Barry piece, that it's a Lauren Marshall piece, that it's a Paul Mason piece, that it's an Alex
Hmm.
Tripp piece or a Grange Wallis's piece.
Hmm.
It's still their work. You followed their style, I guess. I'm not sure what the best word is, but
Going back to that, so I think an inker's job, and I treated myself as an inker for this
mm,
exercise. So like my favorite inker is Scott Williams, it's Jim Lee's inker, and he'll always put his own sensibilities into it. So to be an inker, you have to be able to understand the penciling and to be honest with you, some of it's pretty straightforward. The things that look the simplest like demand the most like care because it's like Paul Mason, for instance, like it looks he always calls it a very scribbly style, very Kirby-esque in that kind of a Jack Kirby kind of style. But I think with his, I had to be so precise because you have to keep the energy up. A lot of his things are quick and immediate, and a lot of the little hatches and marks and things. So I had to be very like quick and jabby with a
yeah,
lot of that, and very like precise with the line weight. I don't know if you understand
yeah,
what that means.
yeah,
So the closer the line is to a light source, the more it disperses. So you're going like thick to thin, and you got to join it without quite go. It was really a fun challenge, and I was finding myself kind of getting into a bit of a flow state with that. So people like Lauren Marshall, Dean Ranken, Paul Mason, that were just really fun to do those cartoons because I don't normally do a cartoony style, and I'm inking going, I could do this, and then I'm like, if I tried to pencil it, it would be so insulting to what they do. I have so much more respect. I always respected what they did, but it's just elevated. I've just gone like I feel it was very intimate. I feel like I was able to like get into the mind of each artist and look at the choices they made, and because I'm having to literally get in there the nitty gritty. I see where they've joined this up, or they put a crease here, or they've made the so it doesn't look so wooden. Like Nicola, was very very dynamic and twisted the body, and Chris Farl had it very like jumping out at you. And I think I say I messed up. He did like this little skull kind of insignia in the shadow, and his was just on Procreate. It was just very quick. It was like in Photoshop or something, and it was just very quick and a few lines. But number one, like I said, I'm away from it, and I'm having to do the little flicks. And the brush pens that I was using quite a firm tip, and you can actually get this nice, almost like feathered effect. And I showed it to him, and I said, "Oh, I can do it again if you need to, and just destroy that one." He goes, "No, I love it." So it's a like that's where the collaboration comes in. We call them kind of happy accidents, like where you get one shot at it. If a line's this long and you have to do it in one swoop, you just got to practice, and go for it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. Look, inking Cy was just a joy because he's just that's ingrained in my. It's such a classic pose. I actually owned that piece. It was just I had David and Cy's blessing to use it. We were going to collaborate on a piece a couple of years back. It didn't end up happening, so it was just nice to be able to do it. It was literally going to be that I'd ink over his and we'd get it colored and do like a license print or something.
Oh, nice. There seems to be a lot of time that you have spent on this. Now, out on the latest episodes of Farmer Wants a Wife or whatever other trashy TV show that you watch, how many hours did you spend on this thing, you reckon?
I was discussing it earlier, and between any time clocking on, if I was doing it like a solicitor, if I was like I'm
Yeah.
on the clock, between chatting with artists, calling up, trying to get someone's number from here, and trying to like follow up because artists we're just notoriously hard like to get in touch with. Finally, getting the pieces, the scans, pulling it into Photoshop, converting it into Blue Line, getting up to spec, making sure it's all correct, printing it out, getting it ready, taping it up, getting the time lapse ready, time lapsing it. Each time lapse was about maybe 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the intricacy. Then having to go into iMovie, compress it down from either an hour or 30-minute, half till I get roughly 45-second clip. And then obviously coloring each individual piece and then also importing into the jam piece. I think I'm up to about 100 hours.
Yeah, well, and that's probably conservative, I would say.
Possibly. I mean, look, we've been on the phone back and forth while I've been doing it, so that's probably 5 hours right there.
Yeah, and it's fair to say that we haven't just been talking about the jam piece as well. We're doing a fair bit of other trash talk as well. So
just keeping each other company in our travels. Mine happen to be at the drawing table. You happen to be traveling through rural Western Australia, but
yes, very true. So you talked about the original art from the artist's point of views of what they've drawn and all that, but the other side of the poster is the ink pieces.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what the plan for these ink pieces are as well?
So each A3 piece, so there's 25 in total, as you know, 21 of them will be available for a buy it now price. Still deciding what platform to do it on, but basically 100% of the proceeds will be collated, donated, and all very transparent. I want to be very clear about that.
Yes.
So I'm going to be doing 25 days of Phantom, essentially. So leading up to the Supanova show in Sydney, I'm going to be doing one artist per day, like a spotlight. It'll be the time lapse, the finished ink piece, and then the color piece. And then on the final day, I'll post the jam up, which will be available the next day for purchase. Like I said, there'll only be 50 copies. It'll only be available at the show. If you have a friend attending that you want to go, that's the easiest way to do it. We'll probably bring a few if there are left over to the dinner afterwards, but that's gonna kind of be it. Once they're gone, they're gone. So
yes,
we're doing 50 prints at $50 each. So it's
And then of course for those art collectors, there's going to be an A3 piece of the ink over the blue lines. You made mention of 21 to sell, but I thought you said there's going to be 25 artists.
There is. So essentially on the night, there's going to be a live auction at the dinner, and that's going to be 2 current artists who are still living and 2 artists who have passed. So it'll be basically artists that you won't typically be able to get a commission from that will be highly sought after, and just basically trying to raise a little bit more, hopefully people reach in and give generously on that one. But like I said, our aim is originally it was going to be about $6,000. I think we can kind of push to about 8 if all the pieces sell. So
I'm pretty sure all the pieces will sell. There's some amazing ones there. I'll tell you one that I really enjoyed, who a lot of fans have probably never heard of or probably don't remember the name that you said, and that was Wayne Nichols.
Yeah.
Every single piece I really enjoyed, but that was one that popped out to me. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be able to might not remember the work that he's done on the Phantom. But so
I think it was back in 2014 or 15. He did like a licensed print. It was like Phantom Goes to War. He's got just such a great, just clean style. And the funny thing was, I didn't specify, like originally, because it was going to be on a jam, I just wanted to do, and I didn't want it to be too much like school photos. I just said I need an upright. If you can do a full body, great. If not, like a torso is fine. I must have forgotten to give that memo to Wayne, because he gave me a beautiful Phantom, punching it. And the cool thing was, because he did that, I was able to really dig in. So if you look close up, I don't know if you remember the old, like when the movie came out, those rings that came and they had almost that gravelly kind of a texture behind the skull. I was able to kind of get that texture in there. And so it actually was really, because it's so clean everywhere and this like little gravelly kind of thing behind there. It was pretty cool. So you can pick apart going, this one here is it's so great for so many different reasons. And like I said, it was such a joy to be able to just kind of live in their head for a little while and just see the artistic choices they made. And look, I definitely try to stay as true to the lines as I could, but every now and then I might add a little of my flair in there.
A little Jamie. Do you feel like you've grown as an inker because you've had to push yourself, stretch yourself over 25 different styles in a short period of time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a long time, like I've been inking my own stuff. And when I do, I used to ink, pencil very tight and then ink it, very true to the lines. Whereas nowadays, I'll either do a very rough digital sketch, do it onto blue line, and then ink it from there. That's actually my process. So anytime you buy an original now, I find doing blue line is more beneficial because you're not actually every time you put a pencil onto paper, you're digging into the paper, you're creating grooves. When you rub it out, you're almost creating these flat spots, and it's an inconsistency in the pulp of the paper. And when you do it on blue line, you erase all of that there. You do all the hard work in Photoshop or Procreate or whatever it is. I use Photoshop. You're still drawing from scratch. But you can kind of, if you mess around a proportion on paper, you're having to rub it out, go again, rub it out, go again. And look, it's fine, and it's worked for hundreds of years, and that's fine. But I find that you get a cleaner finished product when you can kind of just go straight onto a clean Bristol board. I use these amazing brush pens by Tombow that are like preloaded, so it's not like even just dipping it. It's actually really clean because it's all contained in there, and you can get these really fine or thick lines depending on the pressure you use. And obviously, I use different tools for different things. Sometimes like fine liner microns. Sometimes I will use a brush or a heavier kind of brush pen. But look, most of it will be done with this Tombow brush pen, and they're just so versatile, and absolutely have absolutely improved just from muscle memory. Just going, you look at it and you kind of decipher how you're going to do it, and there's different techniques you can do, and not to, everyone has a different process. I'm self-taught, but the way I think of it is pulling a line or pushing a line. So pushing a line is pushing it away from you. Pulling a line is bringing it towards you. One's more stable, one's more fluid, and depends on the kind of, if it's an organic line or if it's a kind of a structured line.
Wow,
you kind of get.
It's amazing. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are just
very nerdy, very nerdy
stuff. So I love it as well. You know me. I like to collect original artwork, and so I'm not an artist, but to be able to kind of just geek out a little bit is nice from my perspective. Now, we've talked with Jamie. Now, we have been lucky enough to actually chat with some of the artists who are participating in this amazing jam piece, and so we're going to listen to them. So, like I said, we're not going to listen to all 25 of them because that would be a long podcast. But so you viewers are lucky enough to be able to hear now from some of these amazing artists who are donating their time for this cause and have agreed to jump on the podcast to also talk about their art. Now, if you are on YouTube, you will be able to view the time lapses and coloured image of the piece of who we will be talking to. So you'll be able to see those before they are actually announced on the 25 days of the Phantom. Welcome, Matt. How are you? And thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm really well. Thanks for having me. Excited, as always, to be on the team. And also really excited to share a screen with the one and only Jamie Johnson.
Good to see you, buddy.
Let's kick off. And why is this project special for you, participating in this jam piece?
I didn't hesitate to get involved in this because I really love the work that is done for the Westmead Hospital. And I just think that it's really selfless. And of course, people who have, some talent and some connection with the Phantom, they should be more than happy to get involved. So when Jamie asked me, I didn't hesitate. Of course, I would do it.
That's awesome. Now, for those who are listening, while Matt is talking, we are going to be showing the time-lapse video of the inks over Matt's pencils. So can you tell us a bit about your drawing, Matt, for those who obviously who are just listening, and then your inspiration behind it?
I had a little think about, what am I going to give Jamie? He told me that he wanted it to be, something fairly quick. You don't put too much time, just some rough pencils. So I went back through my last comic, the Enter the Phantom, through number 1969, and I went through there and I was trying to find what was a good image from that comic that was fairly iconic. And there's an image where the Phantom is together with Dave Palmer in his office, and they've got Fats there as well. And the pose that I put the Phantom in that panel, I thought that's it. That's the one I want. it shows the Phantom how I always try and draw him, which is quite athletic, like, but not super bulky, but more like an Olympic swimmer.
So
And
same physique as me then, right, Matt?
yeah, basically just modelled off you. That's
The
if you're
shoulders.
wondering why I requested those photos, that's what it was for.
Sure it was.
But I was
Matt,
also interested to see what Jamie would do with him because, like traditionally, Jamie and I draw the Phantom fairly differently, and I thought, yeah, this will be good. We'll see how this goes. Is he going to bulk him up massively, or is he going to stick to mine? And I was really, as I heard you say you're going to put the images over the top of this. I think Jamie did an excellent job. I was thrilled with it when I saw it.
So he did your work justice.
Yeah, he did. And it can be for an inker, it can be challenging to not throw too much of yourself in it. But I think like our picture is like a perfect amalgam of both of our styles. It's very Jamie Johnson, but I think it's also very me.
Absolutely. It's I was saying it was really refreshing as well because you have that really classic sensibility and you can see the love for like the McCoy kind of era come through. And I think it was just keeping it really like true to that. And I think I try and get into the mindset of each artist as to what you kind of you could see some of the the side Barry people, that they're in that camp. You're definitely in the McCoy, and it was really nice to jump in between. It was a good challenge, to be honest with you. It was lovely to be able to ink over so many people I call friends, but people whose work I admire.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, and I really appreciate you jumping on, mate. Like you said, no hesitation, and it's for such a good cause, and I'm so glad to be able to showcase some of the talent we have. In Australia, it's a really deep bench, and I'm really proud to be a part of that.
I imagined who else you'd be asking, and I could. It's pretty obvious, and I thought there's some really like fantastic artists. So there was a little bit of pressure. It's not a competition, but there is a pressure to be up to a certain benchmark.
Yeah.
So
you want to represent your stuff the best you can. And like I said, I didn't want to, when I was asking everyone for like a 10, 20-minute sketch, it was more, I didn't want to inconvenience anyone. And it's funny because I don't think anyone stuck to that 10 to 20 minutes. And that's such a testament to you guys and the generous spirit. And I think just that Phantom fans, it's the same kind of thing. It's all very copacetic with the essence of the character.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. Like it's all those reasons, and everyone you've asked, they're all Phantom fans as well. Whether they're working on it, they are Phantom fans at the end of the day. So you want to draw your hero well.
Absolutely.
So Matt, are you working on anything currently Phantom related, or anything else?
We're still putting finishing touches on the game, the Phantom game, which is coming out in December this year. So, though my my part in the game, writing the script, was done early on, there's still opportunities for me to get involved and brainstorm different aspects of the game, like the finishing touches. I've also, people who follow my socials will see I've been doing a lot of lino print sketch covers, which will be available at Supanova, which is coming up pretty soon. And I'm really looking forward to Supanova because each year you see all the other fans who've made the pilgrimage to Mecca, and they go to the dinner, the Lee Falk Memorial Bangalla, whatever.
Explorers Club dinner. Yes,
that's the one.
It is a mouthful. So what will you, besides, I'm assuming you probably have some pre-sketch covers, some linos on the sketch covers as well. Are you going to be offering anything else Phantom related or any other characters for sale prints or original artwork during the convention?
I think people who've been to my table will kind of know what to expect from me. There'll be hand-drawn sketch covers, there'll be the lino prints, there'll be original pages from some of the comics I've done as well, and obviously there'll be the comics themselves. So I'm always happy to meet people and have a chinwag and talk about the Phantom and sign some stuff. Some prints as well. I haven't got any new prints on the go at the moment, but it's still a couple of weeks away. You never know what I might throw together.
Yeah, well,
will you be bringing the moustache back for the convention?
If there's a popular demand for it, and there isn't.
Well, number one, I'll put.
Well, I think you and Callum Markin are the ones that want it.
I'm not sure if that says more about them or what.
Yeah. Hi, cousin, by the way.
So are you attending any other conventions in 2024? Obviously, we're all talking about the Sydney one, but there are several others around the country as well. So
Yeah, so Sydney's locked in. There's a smaller convention in Melbourne, which is the Melbourne Toy and Comic Fair. So I'm booked in for that one as well. And I'm just sort of I've got my feelers out for the other ones, but I can't confirm anything just yet. But I'm hoping for Melbourne Oz Comic Con and Metro City Con, but I can't guarantee.
now, for those who have come in late, what is your social platform for fans to follow you on?
Yeah, so if you can find me on Matt Kyme Comics on Instagram, that's the only social media I have at the moment. So that's the only place you'll find me.
I'm just stoked to have him on board. I look forward to seeing him in person because it's been over a year since I've actually seen him face to face, and yeah, it's just really great to have him contribute his talent to the project. So thanks again, Matt.
All right, see you later, fellas.
No worries. We
See
look
you,
forward
mate.
to seeing you with that moustache, Matt. Thank you. Welcome, Grange. How are you? And thank you for joining us.
I am terrible, and as you can tell by the state of my voice, I do not sound like my usual little chipper self. I basically was this sick on Friday last week, and then woke up this morning this sick again after thinking I'd come good over the week. So it's been a journey to nowhere for the last 7 days, but all in all, good spirits. You know, my kids are sick in daycare, that's fine, but ultimately, you know, parents don't get sick, do we?
Well, we
Get a
do,
day
but
off.
we just got to tough it up. So, Grange, toughen up, princess. Thank you for joining us. And tell us why
Don't
is
make me laugh. It hurts.
why is this project special for you?
You know, the Lee Falk Memorial dinner, since I've been, you know, around it for the last few years, like it raises good money for a good organization in a good spot. And I like to draw for a good cause from time to time. I've done, you know, a sample of different charity work with my illustrations, and you know, it brings if I can be like, you know, 1.0000000th of a percent of the embetterment of something that helps somebody get to, you know, a cure or, you know, better health or whatever it is, like being able to just do a little bit for somebody else is a good thing. And you know, like I'm not necessarily one for, like, I don't necessarily believe in karma, but I do believe in, you know, I love the idea of it. So for mine, it's just like, you know, if you put goodwill out into the world, hopefully it will be returned. And at the same time, like I'm a very fortunate man in a lot of aspects of my life. So I feel like I should be able to share my good fortune, my time and my talent with people if it can help. So that's it, essentially. That felt really long-winded. I apologize.
No,
Not at
that's a
all.
beautiful answer, Grange. Really enjoyed that answer. So tell us a little bit about your drawing. Now, for those who are on YouTube, we will see a time lapse of Grange's pencils or blue line with Jamie inking over it. But if you could just tell us a little bit about your drawing and your inspiration behind it.
Yeah, so ever since I come into the Phantom, you know, what is it, 4 or 5 years since I've known you guys, maybe longer, I'm not sure. Definitely 2017 would be around that era. So I like the Phantom. However, I do feel like I like him as he is basically what I should say. But I do feel like he's primed for, you know, an update. Like all of the good, you know, leading superheroes and comic book mainstays, they've all been reinvented. You know, like Superman's probably had about 1,000 origin stories at this point. And I do feel like the Phantom would benefit from a cold start. And I would do a shockingly cold start of where I would actually have Kit Walker, the 22nd Phantom, be dead, you know, a few decades, and maybe 1 or 2 Phantoms have lived and worn the mantle, and then have a new Phantom in 2024 or 2022 or whatever. Like I started doing these around 2020, these sort of redesigns of a modern take. So it'd be a brand new Phantom starting off from day 0, and he essentially goes and collects his father's body from his last mission. And Duncan Munro and I got together, and Duncan wrote a really sweet tale where basically the Phantom gives his life to free a child that was trapped in, you know, a certain situation. So basically he was in a, you know, like in a trap, and he springs the trap, gets the kid out, but then he unfortunately perishes in that final act of bravery. And then this is a story about how, like in this version, it leads into the Defenders of the Universe sort of remake, where he bumps into a very old version of both Flash Gordon and of Mandrake, but Mandrake is magically made himself a forever young man. So he's actually, you know, a few hundred years old at this point. And then Flash Gordon's, you know, like a grizzly old sea pirate type who's like in his like late 50s, early 60s, and sort of more like a, you know, like a Kurt Russell-y type, you know, like if I was to cast him today. And then like they would have to go on some sort of, you know, epic quest, and they'd hire a boat to journey to something like Kong Island or something like that, and Popeye would actually be the first officer of the ship. So all of the sketches of all those main characters, because I was just like, you know, like do a Marvel and just like bring all the characters together at Kingfisher Syndicate and just do something wild and have like random characters pop up, like have Betty Boop at the you know, at the Sea Wharf pub, you know, singing in the corner, or, you know, just like little sprinkling of the whole IP that they've got. And just, you know, just fashion a sort of a gritty, look, I'm a little over gritty if I'm being honest, but just a fun sort of new take. Everyone's fresh, especially the Phantom. Like you're seeing he's the protagonist, and you're seeing the story through his eyes. You know, like he's finding out that there's actually space travel out there. He's finding out that there's magic, and, you know, like he's trying to catch up on the Chronicle Chambers and see like what it is that his family has been doing, like the legacy that has been created by the Phantom. So it's like a Phantom tale set in the, you know, a contemporary reimagining of the Defenders of the Universe, you know, with Luther and all the other characters as well.
So your drawing is based off that.
That's sketch. Yeah.
That sketch,
so
yeah.
It would be like the 25th Phantom or the 24th Phantom. I'm a bit fuzzy on who because the original Defenders of the Universe Phantom, I think, is the 24th.
I think it's the 27th.
27th.
Yes.
And then the
2040 is the 24th.
Yeah, 20. Yeah. So he'd have to sit in there somewhere in that, you know, in between 22 and 27.
That's for Duncan to work out.
You've got a style. Jamie Johnson has a style. Now, how do you feel about Jamie's style inking over your style?
Look, to be honest with you, I love it. Like, because I've done what Jamie's about to do is what I'd call finishing art on top of somebody's, like inking somebody else's work is like when you're doing the finishing art. Whereas I've actually taken things like Paul Mason's work and rendered it in my own style, and, you know, done a little weird collaboration there, because the fact is that there's so much that goes on in a person's style and their aesthetic that, you know, they've got a sketching style which is actually different from their finished art style. They've got a different coloring style that's actually, you know, very uniquely different to how their inks might look. And there's, you know, it's a marriage of a few different things. So I don't think I've ever had anyone ink my work, to be honest with you. So I'm excited, and I'm glad that it's Jamie. Jamie's nice.
Thanks, mate. Right back at you. Yeah, it's funny, Jam. I'm also coloring the jam, and I'm trying to put myself in the head of each person. And Grange was always that X factor because he's so painterly with his stuff, but he's given me line work. So I'm trying to like lean into the light source that he's kind of given me, and I'll be sending through the stuff soon, Grange, for you to have a look at and approve, to be honest. But yeah, that was always the X factor for me, because you've got such a next level rendered style. Yeah,
that's a very kind compliment. Thank you.
No, of course, mate. You stand alone in that, and I think that's really rare these days. So it was great to have you on board, and really appreciate you lending your talents to it, mate. It means a lot.
Well, it's good to see you getting back into the Phantom, because I feel like you've been lost in the sewers, my friend.
You've just made mention that you've basically been crook for the last 3 months, and all jokes aside, we do feel for you. Are you working on anything currently, or you got anything in the pipeline that you want to share and tell us about?
there's a few things that are coming out. So I haven't really achieved much in terms of the way of work. Like I've been trying to set up a few things, but haven't been able to sort of follow through because because my wife's gone back to work and she's in a pretty high up management role. So there's been a lot of sick leave taken by me on my own career. But this is just a stitch in time, and we'll get back there. But so I haven't really set off a lot of the things that I wanted to do, which I mentioned to you guys off air. But there is a lot of stuff coming out, especially in the AFL space. I've got a whole player range coming out soon to the AFL shops. It's going to be on t-shirts and apparel and housewares and a few things like that.
Oh, wow.
And then I'll be also able to sell prints from my own store, and they'll be sort of high-end clay prints that I've got a new printer here that makes some really nice high-end prints. I'm not sure if they'll show up over the speed painting, but yeah, it's just so I'm sort of like in the, what would I call it? Sort of in the quiet hum before like what I hope will be a bit of a relaunch for me and my brand. But yeah, all in all, like I'm just surviving on the fumes of an oily rag, and that
So
oily rag
Grange,
happens to have a lot of snot on it.
Grange, you were very humble about that printer, but I know for a fact that that's a workhorse of a printer, and it's basically what we bring it to printing companies to use. So if someone wants to get like a high quality Grange Wallis, a custom piece, can they get in touch with you and
Yeah,
sort that out?
absolutely. Thanks, Jamie. I am available for messages online if there's any sort of artist proofs of artworks that you want me to print. I'm really curious to see what some of my Phantom covers look like printed black and white on this. Because like I do my painting black and white and then just do color overlays. So I'd be curious to see what that looks like. So if people ever want to contact me there, because I don't necessarily have artist proofs available on my website, but if there is a piece of mine that you're dying to get, you can just message me and we'll see what I can work out for you. But I also do have I think I've got 1 or 2 pieces of original Phantom art on my website as well, which is just Grange Wallis spelled WALLIS.com. And yeah, I think there's a original comic book art stuff in there, but it's going to be swallowed by a whole bunch of football stuff soon as well.
Are you attending any, have you got any conventions penciled in or inked in for 2024?
I'm hoping that I'll be at Oz Comic Con Melbourne, and then there's a part of me that actually wants to do like either Adelaide or Perth. And I'm going to sort of speak to the booking people there because I want to take my football ranges to those places, because I do actually surprisingly enough get a lot of great feedback about my AFL stuff.
For those who have come in late, what are your social platforms and again your website for people to be able to follow you?
All right, let's see if I can do this in one breath. Grange Wallis at grangewallis.com. Wallis is spelled I-S, not A-C-E. Grange on Instagram, and then just Grange Wallis Art on Facebook. If you just type in facebook.com.au/Grange Wallis Art. And then I'm also Grange Wallis on Twitter.
And real quick, when you're doing your rebrand and relaunch of your, 2.0, I think you...
So, like, all the football stuff will be coming out in a month or so, I believe. Yeah. And then definitely all the way around finals. So, like the 8 teams and the plays that I did for the 8 teams in the AFL finals, that's when they'll launch a lot of the homeware stuff. But in terms of just my art, I'm planning on rearing a few things up, and I'm also working on my own children's book up there, which I can't really talk about too much about, just because
cute people
I don't want to make any promises about. I've been working on it since 2016, so I can't make any.
It'll come out when it's ready. It's your opus,
exactly.
for your kids.
It's my version of Bluey. There was actually a blue healer in it originally, but I've taken it out and then
Hey, so a little suggestion for you: if you're rebranding, put a little like stroke above the E and call yourself Grunge.
But then I won't be able to. Yeah, that's not bad. I like it, but I do enjoy being one word like Madonna, just Grange.
It's
I don't
amazing.
know why. I say that as a joke.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, look, we appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you being part of this concept, this jam print that's been spearheaded by Jamie, and giving us your time for this podcast, but also for the piece as well. So thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot, guys. Congratulations on all the hard work you're doing there, Jamie, and I hope it's a real success. And yeah, thanks again, guys, for putting it all together. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Welcome, Lauren. How are you? And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm doing very well. How about you too?
I'm doing great. First of all, I just want to take time to congratulate you on your first published Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cover. I was actually very
Thank
stoked to
you.
hear that.
Yeah,
I've
had to keep it hush hush for a little bit, but
it's hard, isn't it? And
I
a lot of Phantom fans. There's a lot of crossover there, and a lot of their kids. So I think you're going to have a lot of a lot of cross pollination there. So congratulations, that's huge.
Thank you.
Why is this project special for you? Why did you agree to donate your time, your skills for this project that Jamie is spearheading?
Well, I think I found out about the event last year when I was in Sydney. I hadn't been to Sydney for a while due to obviously a nasty flu going around. But when I heard from, I think it was a couple of the Phantom boys, the Phantom fans, tell me all about it and what the cause was and going towards, the particular charity that it is. It did resonate with me quite a bit. I've done some stuff for like Starlight Foundation and other organizations similar. So definitely resonated with me. And I wanted to contribute something this year either way. So it just so happened that Jamie had his project going on. So definitely said yes to that one. And I think I've got something else that might be brewing in the background as well.
Very cool.
I'd love you just to be able to tell us about your drawing and a little bit about it and why you decided
I'm going to jump in before she starts and preface it with, I hit up every artist and said, if you can contribute, I want no more than a 10 to 20 minute, sketch, because I don't want to put anyone out. And you're seeing on the screen what Lauren produced, and it was freaking badass. But please, Lauren, take it away.
Thank you again. Well, you did tell us to just do 10 minutes, but of course, me being me, that didn't happen anyway. So just as a premise for other
How long
artists,
did it take, actually?
Maybe 20, 30, depending.
Are you serious? Okay, I
Yeah.
thought that was hours. That's unreal, dude. Anyway,
thank
I
you.
bow
nice
down.
piece.
I bow down.
So yeah, you reached out and you needed Heloise for that one. And yeah, of course, like it was a no-brainer, obviously, but I love a lot of dynamic poses. I love bringing a lot of energy into the piece. So obviously, gunfights, stuff like that, definitely going to be a go-to natural way to go for that pose. But yeah, anything that's got like an emphasis on the boots as well, I love putting that into my pieces as well, and just making sure that, like I said, the biggest thing for me is energy, movement, feeling, action type of deal. So yeah, wanted to keep that resonated with my work.
I must admit, saying about the boots, that I was not expecting an answer about an emphasis on the boots.
I'm just sad she doesn't have laces. I know it's like very intricate and there's like a lot of detail and stuff like that when it comes to the laces and the crossover and stuff. But I genuinely just love that kind of detail. But I know that's obviously not part of that character. So still try to make them as cool as possible.
So for this, as Germ's aware, and I'm sure you are now, Lauren, it's going to be a jam piece. So whoever's lucky enough to obtain your original, I'm also doing a one-of-one color piece to accompany them as well. So your full figure and all the smoke and gunfight glory is going to be on display. But on the jam, because there's 25 artists, I've got you. We kind of lost the boots, but I've got you wedged between Nicholas Scott and Paul Mason in like this just epic 3D poster-esque. It's just I was always a fan of your work, but this was like I was just like, she is. Yeah,
it's a sexy sandwich that you've created there.
You're the ruddy rat in the middle.
Yeah, the good stuff.
So, Jamie, a question for you. How did you go finding to ink Lauren's art?
It was the one word I can give you is just joy. It was like, so, we ink our own work most of the time and we kind of develop a style and you've got a kind of a muscle memory. And sometimes it's really like, slow and, controlled. And sometimes it's kind of quick and immediate. And hers was a really beautiful mixture of both, where it was just this, the line weight and just everything that she did was so purposeful. And it felt like, I don't know, half of it was like almost like a screen tone type, and it had like this kind of graffiti-esque kind of feel to it. But just, yeah, it was just really, I don't know. I got to flex different muscles, like creative muscles on it. And yeah, I just was really excited to do it. So yeah, it was cool.
No, so Lauren, what else are you working on? Obviously, you've got the Ninja Turtles cover that you've announced on social medias. Is there anything else that you can share with us that you're currently working on?
I'm pretty sure I can share this. I'll confirm with you guys, but I'm doing some work for the Phantom game that's coming out as well. So
Cool.
that's obviously relating to something that you guys would and the audience would love to see, and then potentially some other gigs there too, which there's not too much I can talk about. I am also doing some interior work for Morris and the Metal, which is an Australian indie title, which is incredible because it's all black and white. It's really going back to sort of just the basics of comic storyboard storytelling, not going too crazy, not going over exaggerating on the details, stuff like that. So I'm really excited to get on board with that as well. But other than that, I'm just going to be going to Sydney, Perth, Supanova, and I think that's sort of me wrapping up. Aside from a couple of smaller ones in Perth, that'll be me wrapping up for the year, and just honing it onto my portfolio again, and just, you know, I've really been focusing a lot on my craft and my art. So I'm going back to the basics and want to elevate that even more. So just taking the time and the patience to do that while I juggle everything else in my life.
Will we ever see any more? I did quite enjoy you were doing a bit of YouTube for a while there, and it was very like candid and a lot of because I teach young kids, you know, illustration and things like that, and I always try and show a variety. Obviously, I'm one dimension, but there's so much out there, and I know a lot of the girls really resonated. Are we going to see any of that in the future from you?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I teach as well on Saturdays at an art school, which is, you know, as you probably know, is a lot of fun to be able to support kids, especially local kids, when we didn't really have that sort of opportunity back when we were younger. But YouTube's definitely on the cards. Yeah, YouTube's on the cards. I just need to set myself up with better recording bits and bobs, just because obviously an iPhone, whilst incredible little devices, I do want something that's a bit more stable and can do a bit more HD, because quality, you know, you need it.
Yeah, cool.
Definitely.
I look forward to it.
So with Supanova, obviously Sydney and Perth, which you made mention, will you be selling any prints, original artwork, or anything else like that?
Yeah, so I'm going to be building up my original artwork portfolio that I can bring to shows if people want to do more of the collecting side of things. I will be also offering these little $40 sketch cards, which will be one of 50. So think about like trading card size, but they'll be Bristol board, be able to ink little headshots or whatever you want to put on there. Just more of like a cheaper alternative in terms of getting an original piece of artwork. While small, it's still kind of handy just to have, you know.
Like these?
Yeah, like little teeny tiny ones. Yeah, they're cool.
Great. They're awesome.
But I've branded them, and then I'm going to start them as also like a collecting thing. So it's going to have different artwork / branding on the back of the card, and then it's going to have like a different border on the other side. So that's going to be available as well. I got some issues of my recent cover, so I'll be bringing those as well. I won't have any of the turtle stuff because that's not coming out until later. But other than that, yeah, just the same old prints and stuff as well.
No worries. Now, for obviously we are a fandom podcast, so I do have to ask, those little cards, there will be a couple of fandom ones in there for all us fans with a PH.
Well, it'd be up to you if you want one. I'm going to advertise them shortly, but basically it's going to be 50 blank cards, and then it's up to if someone wants to buy one, and they will tell me which kind of character they want, and then I'll just draw them, you know, just ink black and white, maybe some screen tone, and yeah, just cute little collectibles.
All right. Well, if I get in first, does that mean I get one of 50?
If you want. Depends.
Well,
how
I'll get in first, and I'll go the Phantom then.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so for those who have come in late, what are your social media platforms, your website, and all that for fans to follow you on?
Yeah, so I'm sure this will pop up on the screen, but you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at The Martial Arts, MARSHALL, and my website is laurenmartialart.com.
No worries. Now, lastly, I'm not sure if you know this, but there are two famous sisters in the Phantom universe called the Marshall sisters. So did you know about that?
I did not. I do now, and I immediately want to go look it up and potentially draw them.
So we could have the third Marshall sister. So
Okay.
yes.
They're a wily bunch.
So no, look, thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating, your time, your skills for this worthy cause. I hope fans enjoy it. Now, just lastly, your last Phantom cover, I believe, was done original pencils and inks. I know it has been sold and all that. So
Yep.
some of your next ones are likely to be like that as well.
Yes, I'm going, like I said, going back to basics, going to make sure that I've got some collector items for people, and the quality's way better than digital. So
Awesome. So if there are fans out there that like that as well, make sure you get in touch with Lauren for getting on the waiting list for some original artwork and also for those little sketch trading cards as well. But just remember, I've got number 1 of 50. Welcome, Alex. How are you? And thank you for joining us.
No problem at all. How are you guys going?
Doing well, thank you, Alex. Thank you. Excited about this project. So we've had the privilege of talking to a few fans, and one of the a few creators, and every creator we've asked that we've talked to, we've actually asked them why this project is special for them. So we'd like to start off with that, Alex. Why is this project that Jamie is spearheading special place for you?
A lot of these people are people that I've looked up to when I was just getting into art, and having them all together into a singular piece means quite a lot, because we are like all together as a partnership now, if it makes sense. So it's kind of like a dream come true, seeing everyone together on one image, you know, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's
Phantom's been my first superhero that gave me an opportunity. So yeah, it just means a lot.
Could you tell us a little bit about your drawing and your inspiration behind it?
I just wanted to capture Phantom in my style, I guess. I just did what would you call it, Jamie? Like a pin-up shot? Just a normal standing shot?
It's nice because it had that kind of like obviously I'm a student of like the Jim Lee and the Faybox and stuff, and it had that real Finchy kind of DC flavor to it, and obviously with the in the trip filter, which is very cool, and
yeah, and an amalgamation of like 4 of them. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. We've spoken to a lot of people, and we've had some that are got a really like cartoon kind of background, like animation and that kind of style, and like graffiti and all those sorts of things with like your Lauren Marshalls and like Paul Mason and stuff. And I think the stuff that you and I like are very similar. So I felt very free in inking it because I felt like it was very
you did a really good job, man.
Thanks, bro. That was good. It was good fun. It was nice to team up, man. It was really I'm big on the traditional art and stuff too. So I like that we kind of were able to, kind of marry the 2 styles together.
Yeah, it's like what I was saying before. I looked up to all of you guys when I was getting into all this stuff, and now that we're
peers
together on a piece, and
I agree, man.
Work is just crazy,
mate. My one of my earliest memories of Phantom, like Aussie artists anyway. I didn't even know it was him, but Chris Vile did this like trading card in the 90s. It was like the Phantom surrounded by all these monkeys, and I just was so like his style was incredible. And I'm actually wearing a shirt with his piece that he contributed, that I inked and colored. And to me, geeking out over stuff that I, people I looked up to as well. So it's like it's a generational thing, which I think is quite cool about it. And I don't know if you're aware, we were able to secure a few people that actually aren't with us anymore that have passed on. So, the estate of Peter Chapman, Lindsay Walker, and Keith Chatto. So it's really cool to just kind of show how deep the bench is, how much talent there is in Australia, and specifically on the Phantom. There's so much more out there, but if you look at the artists that have worked on the Phantom, from like Nicholas Scott, Chris Vile, Gary Chaloner, and Jason Paulus, who are like mainstays and really kind of the senior crew, and then you've got like kind of us and like Lauren and those people kind of up and coming and a little younger, so to speak. I don't want to be too detrimental to everyone else, but
do you
like
think
you said,
Sorry, I was just
What's
going
that,
to say, do you think Jason will be appreciative of the fact that you've lumped him with all the old people?
No, but you look at him. When did he do Hairbutt the Hippo? I was maybe 8, and he was already like pulling out fully fledged comics. So he's got a good 10 years on me. And he doesn't look like it or act like it, but he's definitely more seniority in terms of how long he's been in the industry for. So
Yes, definitely. So, Alex, you've talked about how your style and Jamie's style is very similar. Did you enjoy his inks? Was there anything that you thought, oh, I liked how he's done that, or like might have been a fresh take on something that he's done? How do you see your your blue lines to Jamie's inks?
Jamie smashes it with his inks. His inks are like phenomenal. I've told him plenty of times. I don't know if he thinks I'm being genuine, but I definitely am. His inks are like really, really nice. And
thanks, bro.
like he probably inked it better than I did. So
No, I try and stay true. The thing is, when I'm doing it, I have to get into the mind of the artist and the intention of the artist. So I definitely try
and
to.
the fact that you know that I like Fabric and Finch, you kind of resonated it. So it was good.
Yeah, and I think I learnt how to ink by kind of almost through osmosis through looking at like the Scott Williams stuff. I think when Finch inks himself, it's probably a little bit better. But like even Fabric lately, his rendering style is he started off as kind of a clone of Finch, and then he sort of became his own thing. And I know when you started out, it was a lot of that. I was the same with Jim Lee. It's very I've been very open about it, and you kind of do that. You almost fake it till you make it, and then you sort of go like, cool, and then you find a muscle memory there, and then your own style kind of comes out of that. So
the metaphor I kind of use is if each artist is a book, and then you build a bookshelf, and then you pick up one book, you read it, you study it, and put the book onto the shelf, and then when you take a couple of steps back, you can look at the wide range that make up that bookshelf. Is who you are.
And you pick and choose things that you like. That's the cool thing about this project was like, everyone's got a different way they do line weight or the posing or things like some are more fluid, some a little bit more like, kind of stockier and whatever. But it was just really cool because I think I absorbed a lot of that and I go, oh, that's a really cool way to do this, or that's a little bit more relaxed here and free there. And it was just cool and just a really unique way of looking at everyone's art because I was looking at every line and every intention, and it was really it was pretty unique. I hadn't thought that deeply about it until I actually started inking everyone. So yeah,
thank you for putting it all together, man. It really means a lot seeing it come together like that.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thanks for being a part of it. You did. I know you're smashed. I know you're under the pump at the moment, and the fact you're able to make time, it's I know the fans would appreciate it too. And look, we all have a lot going on, and that's why I was just like no more than a 10-20 minute sketch or whatever for everyone, and I just didn't want to put anyone out, but everyone kind of went over and above, and I think that's just a testament to the kind of people that work on the Phantom and enjoy the character. I think it's the similar sensibilities. You'll see when I show you like the finished jam. I put kind of the kind of older stable, kind of the front kind of jumping out, and I had like you, me, Grange.
Yeah, it's got a lot of depth to it.
Yeah, but like I put us kind of on top, like kind of overlooking, kind of like we're ready to come in. You know what I mean? Like on the sidelines, ready to.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. So, Alex, so what else are you currently working on?
I'm writing a series for the Phantom, and it's taking quite a while because it's a massive undertaking. So I believe I've showed it to both of you guys a little bit. I've handed in some story scripts that have been approved. So I'm working on a Phantom story at the moment.
Are you illustrating that as well?
Yeah, both.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, wow. And you made mention that you have also just finished a board game as well. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So it hasn't got anything to do with the Phantom, but I've just spent 2.5 months on a board game for Alpha Clash. It's a trading card company that I work for. Awesome. And I did 18 different symbols, designed 12 characters, did all the UI a lot of different card artwork, the layouts for things, the design of certain things. Every character, the 16 characters, have their own individual logo. Poses for the little figurines that are going to be on the board game. I designed, I think, 12 different planets and a whole heap of stuff. And these
Yeah,
are where all my disciplines were all on like revving at 100%. So I was getting to stretch my printing knowledge, my graphic design knowledge, my character design knowledge, my writing knowledge, illustration, coloring, and yeah, it was a massive undertaking. It's like 10 hours a day for like 2.5 months. It was just insane.
Wow. And has that gone to Kickstarter already, or will it go to Kickstarter?
It is on Kickstarter now. It's not ready yet, but you can follow it and look up at all the details.
I believe you're going to Sydney Supanova. What other conventions have you got on the cards for 2024?
So I'm doing all of the Oz Comic Cons and Supernovas apart from Perth, and this is the first time we're going to venture out of Australia. I'm going to New Zealand
Wow.
at the end of June.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
Armageddon.
So is that instead of Perth?
No, I don't think it's instead of Perth. I had some other stuff. I had like other stuff that I had to do, so I couldn't make it to Perth.
Okay, I won't take it personally, Alex.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll be there. Don't worry, mate.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'm gonna start showing the New Zealand crowd more Phantom artwork.
That's good. So for your conventions that you've got going, do you have any Phantom related merch that you're going to be selling, or original art, or have you got some other prints and stuff like that for that will be new this year as well?
I will have head sketches available, remarks,
Yes.
remarks, and I think 2 new covers that I don't know if people have seen me sign yet.
Awesome. So there's a little bit of stuff. I got a remark from you last year, so I can attest to that. That is a bit of a trend at the moment. Jamie, have you done many remarks?
More on the Ninja Turtle stuff, but
Yeah.
the Phantom covers, I'm very impressed he can do it because they're quite shiny and
Yeah.
covers. But you know what? I'll have a crack. I might do a few. I'll see how I go.
There you go. Now, lastly, Alex, before we let you go, you've been very gracious with your time. You've got a family function
No
on
problem.
at the moment. For those who have come in late, what's your social platform for fans to follow you on?
tripdesignstudio.com is my website. Trip Design Studio on Instagram and Facebook. And if you just search up Alex T Trip in Google or Instagram, it should pop up with everything.
Now, one last thing. I've said this for the last 2 years, so I'm hoping you've actually done something about it this time, Alex. You had your metallic foil prints with Wolverine and stuff like that. Have you done a Phantom one yet?
I have done it, but it's in here.
That's the hard part. Now you got to put it on. Yeah, got to print it.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that happen on a good old print.
I really am looking forward to this story, and I hope I can get the Phantom community to do, and the Phantom artists, to do like alternate covers, and to have everyone chip in a way, and benefit from it as a community and together as artists. So,
bro, I've been saying variant covers for years. That's I'm for that. If they're down, I'll do it.
Well, Alex, appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening with your family function that you've got on, and thank you for your time, for your skills that you've donated for this worthy cause, and yeah, again, thank you.
No problem, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Trip.
And for our last guest, we have Dean Ranken. Welcome. How are you? And thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm really good, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, we haven't had you on the podcast before, so in as brief as you can. Now, I know everyone's going to roll their eyes because this podcast is known for going over time, so no huge pressure. But let us know a little bit about yourself as an artist, but also as a Phantom fan as well.
Yeah. My name is Dean Ranken, and I'm a comic book artist and writer. And I've worked on The Simpsons, Futurama, Rick and Morty, Invader Zim, Underdog, Oggy and the Cockroaches. I've worked on Archie comics, and I illustrate kids' books as well. I grew up in a small beach town on the Mornington Peninsula south of Melbourne, and Phantom was one of my earliest memories of one of the comics that I could buy. Because so there were sort of limited choices, but and I'm sure other listeners and viewers will agree, like Phantom has been that sort of like that mainstay, and it's not unlike Phantom itself, gone from generation to generation, you know.
Yeah, and I can see behind you some of the NECA figurines behind you. I can see lots of comics and stuff. So you're not just saying you're a fan to get a gig at Frew.
No, I'm not saying that. But I wanted one for a long time with, and I should say though, I'm really bad with things like Phantom trivia. I would fail dismally at that. Sort of, if fans come up to me and go ask me about, favorite stories, I won't know anything. I don't actually follow, I'm not a fan of anything like that I would consider that I would want to do homework on it, if you know what I mean. Phantom was always something that I wanted to work on, and you would see my other work, it's very cartoony. So there's no way I could really draw Phantom for the comic book, but I was sending scripts off for, I reckon it's probably 10 years I've been sending stuff to Frew. And I was really fortunate enough that this was my first one. I had a backup story in 1908 and scored 2 backup stories in 1952, which so it was really nice. I have a funny relationship with Frew. I kind of send work off and then I don't hear anything. And
you're not the only one, mate.
Oh yeah. So it's just so I don't know if anything's coming up, but I know I've sent a stack of scripts off and hoping for the best. And actually quite like doing the backup stories. Quite like doing 4 to 8 pages. It's often very sort of, I guess, story heavy, not necessarily long time character development heavy. Very punchy, but I like to write like that, and I like to read like that as well.
Well, I really enjoyed your stories in the 75th anniversary. So I'm sure I've heard a lot of other positive comments from other fans as well. So thank you for letting us know a little bit about yourself. Now, this project that Jamie has spearheaded, that he's hassled every artist in Australia about and stuff like that. What made you say, yes, this is something I want to do? This is something that I want to give up my time, my skills for free to be able to help and participate in?
Well, I guess it's not the first charity thing I've done. It's not the first charity thing I've done for Phantom as well, because I was involved in the fire relief comic back in that's a fair while ago now as well.
That was pre-COVID.
That was pre-COVID, yeah, like the before times. So I was just, I think it's important to give back. It wasn't hard. I'm happy to help. Have a great respect for Jamie. So I am very busy. So we had to sort of squeeze in between projects. But it was really nice to do. And it was nice to see sort of Jamie's spin on the inks. Over my pencils, which is something I don't see very often, because I generally, if I'm drawing, I normally do the whole thing myself.
What did you think of Jamie's? Because Jamie's got a different. I think it's fair to say he's got a different style than what you.
Very different style. I liked it. I liked it that they had he kept the pointy nipples that I put on the Phantom, and also that it was interesting. I think Jamie inks a lot cleaner than I do. So it's very few people. I think sort of Tim McEwen is another Australian comic artist, and he inked a page that I did. I think that's about the only 2 people that have inked my work. That's not me.
So
but,
I was actually I was a guest at Central Coast Comic Con, which is like a little regional one just on New South Wales Central Coast. And Tim was my table neighbor, and we were literally talking about that because I was showing him, the stable, like you, Gary Chaloner, like all the heavy hitters in Australian comics. And I go, oh my God, he's the only other one that's really inked you and Nicola Scott and Chris Val and all these, like,
Yeah. It's just, for me, generally, it's just something, I think it's, I guess, kind of like as Australian creators, we tend to do everything ourselves because you kind of don't have a choice. But it's really interesting to see those two examples that I wouldn't have thought that it would bring so much of the inker into the artwork, but it does.
It's funny, when you ink yourself, I don't know if you find it, but I have a shorthand. It's almost part of my process where I pull back a little bit on the pencils because I want the energy to still be in it when I ink it.
Still be in the inks, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I feel like you did a lot of the heavy lifting. For me, it was just it was keeping it clean and keeping it true to that, like, really clean line work of like Simpsons and all those sort of things and the like.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like how I work, but particularly it was like I thought it was even cleaner than how I would normally do it. And again, it's really nice to see that sort of collaborative vibe of it. Absolutely. That it's not just my artwork anymore.
I let the nipples sing. I made sure I put shadows when I colored it. I put shadows on them as well.
Dean, are you currently working on anything else? Anything Phantom related or anything?
I'll sit back and have a drink. Oh my gosh, this guy.
Yeah. No, I'm not current. Well, as far as I know, there's no Phantom stuff coming up, but I don't know. I would love it, even if it's like just once a year. I would love like just a backup story, just to keep my hand in it. Because what I like about that, I didn't think I don't really express that before. Well, because I'm so cartoony, it's nice to be able to dabble with storytelling on subjects that are a bit more serious. You get to flex a different kind of muscle when it comes to that. And I've been really privileged, like Jeremy McPherson has done like 2 of my stories, and I love his classic style sequential work. So I'm hoping to have more Phantom. That'd be really cool. Right now I'm working on 2 picture books, and I've just done some Rick and Morty stuff that is out soon. And so I'm actually basically going all the way till Feb. I'm booked out to Feb at the moment with picture books and comics and stuff like that.
Wow. Oh yeah, and remind me, I need to get
And my book series, Death Metal Emo Elves, which is about elves that learn that form a death metal band, and I'm writing number 4 as we speak.
So good.
Oh wow. So I believe you're going to Sydney Supanova. What other comic conventions have you got booked up for the rest of 2024?
So I've done a few so far. I've got Oz Comic Con in Melbourne at the start of June. Then I go to Auckland Armageddon the weekend after that. Then the weekend after that, so I come back on the Thursday, fly up for Supanova on the Friday for that weekend in Sydney. Then I come home and then I do Perth Supanova. Then I've actually got a leisurely 2 weeks before I go to my next one, which I think is Maryborough. I don't know. I've got about a few coming up. I do a lot of conventions, generally speaking.
2 weeks off. You wouldn't know what to do with yourself.
I know. No, I just got to put my feet up.
he might draw 2 books in that time. Who knows?
So I know you do have a Phantom print. I'm not sure if you still have that, but I know you did have a Phantom print back in the day. I remember buying that off you. You'll be available for sketch covers, sketches.
I do sketch covers. Before any sort of Phantom fans come up, you should really see how I draw, because you'll be getting a very cartoony Phantom. I don't have that print anymore. I retired that print. But I'm happy to do a cartoony Phantom. And at conventions, I draw people like they're a Simpsons character, or put their heads in the jar like a Futurama head in a jar.
I had the head in the jar.
Head in a jar.
Yeah, it's so good.
So that's all like well known for at conventions, and I'll be obviously selling comics, Simpsons comics, Futurama, Rick and Morty, etc., and some books. Yeah, so that's me.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, so fans, make sure you get your 75th anniversary, get a signature, get a signature from Dean. Tell him what you enjoyed about the stories as well. When you buy your print from Jamie, you can get him to sign it as well. For those who have come in late, what's your social media platforms for fans to be able to follow you?
It's all just Dean Ranken, Ranken with an E on the end, like it says up on the screen. Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on the Facebook. Please free to hit me up. And if you see me at Supanovas or any of the other kind of conventions, come and bring your Phantom books. I'm happily sign those for you.
Now, I've got one more question for you, a bit of a left field one. Is there room for a Simpsons style Phantom story?
I don't think I'd have to. I'd feel dubious doing a Simpsons style as such because that's Simpsons. But I could certainly do a cartoony style, and I don't. If the fans would allow it, because I don't want to. I don't want to annoy people. I have a great love for the character, and I try to you want to expand his world, but at the same time I'd hate to be disrespectful. Do you know what I mean by that? Yeah.
Dean, you sell yourself short. I absolutely love it. It felt like one of those little gag, Mad Magazine.
Yeah. If it's not going to offend anybody, I could happily draw a very cartoony Phantom in the jungle, and I think it'd be hilarious.
Awesome.
Well, we would love to see that one day. So hopefully, fans, if you're out there and you're liking the sound of that, make sure you hit Dean up and let him know when you see him at the conventions. Let him know that I heard you on the podcast and I think you should do one like that. And then
I appreciate that.
We'll get some groundswell. Look, appreciate your time, Dean. I know you're a very busy man. Appreciate donating your time to this worthy cause, to the bushfire book that Chronicle Chamber did previously as well. Appreciate the stories that you've created as well. So from myself, thank you.
Love you, Dino. I'll see you at Supanova, mate. Thanks again for I asked for a 10-minute sketch and you went over and above. So
yeah, because you have to compete with everybody else, so
that's what everyone's been saying. It's so funny.
Yeah.
We're not competitive in a bad sense of the word. It's just we don't want to be put next to Nicola Scott and Chris Weil. Look at this
exactly. That's right.
Like, but you honestly, I put you front and center for a reason. It really held its own. You're with Loopy Dave and Chris Weil and Nicola Scott, and I'm so glad you are. And thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, all of those amazing artists and guests for their time. As we said before, this is all donated time. They don't get paid for this. So, a huge shout out to all those people. Now, we have said during the podcast, Jamie, that you are doing a 25 days of the Phantom. So do you want to just briefly, for those who have either forgotten because the podcast is that long, what this 25 days of the Phantom is, and then we'll wrap up, and where they can see it as well. So, which of course will be your Instagram page.
Absolutely. So yeah, basically starting on Monday the 28th.
No, the 27th.
Monday the 27th. I'll be launching the 25 Days of Phantom, PH for 5 optional. Where basically I'll be showcasing one artist a day. So I have a lot of content there from, like I said, the time lapse, the finished inked lines, and then the colored piece as well. And then at the end of the day, I will actually have a link up to actually purchase that original. One stipulation is that the original will be, if you're buying it from interstate or overseas, obviously you have to cover shipping, but we are going to ship them out after the dinner because they're actually going to all be on display at the Falk Memorial Bangalla Explorers Club dinner at Deus Ex Machina Cafe in Sydney. But yeah, basically, Quick Draw 13 is my Instagram. From the 27th of May, they'll be all going up, one artist a day. Amazing showcase of just some really talented artists. I just want to take another chance just to thank everyone who donated their skills, their talent, their time. Obviously, you guys, Chronicle Chamber, unsung heroes like Duncan, who've kind of helped kind of liaise behind the scenes. And yeah, just it's a fun project. It was good to just be back on the Phantom again, and I look forward to catching up with everyone, talking Phantoms, seeing everyone. I will be attending the dinner, obviously, and yeah, I really just thank you for all your time, Germ, and to all the artists who gave theirs as well.
Also, and don't forget the print. There was only 50 of them, and they will be available from Jamie's booth on the Saturday. Don't think they will last very long. So
one thing I will say, if you are a Phantom fan and true sense of the word, and you are going to the dinner, there will be a lot of Phantom artists who are guests at the show, but there will also be artists who aren't at the show who will be at the dinner as well. So it's almost like a scavenger hunt as well. So I know that myself, Lauren Marshall, Alex Tripp, Dean Ranken, Matt Kyme, I think possibly Marcelo Baez will be at the show. And I think you'll be able to catch people like Antonio Lemos at the dinner after hours. So it's beneficial to get it on the Saturday. And like I said, there's only 50, so, they will go quickly. So yeah, once we spread the word, Phantom fans love their exclusive stuff. So
that's it. Now, for those who are intrigued or about this weekend Supanova LFMBEC dinner that we've been talking about, after this podcast, one of our next ones will be talking about the dinner and what to expect and the whole weekend in more detail. So make sure you subscribe to us either via YouTube or through your favourite podcast apps, including iTunes or Spotify. Our website is chroniclechamber.com and our email is chroniclechamber@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with us. We'd love to hear your input, so you can follow us on social media, X, Instagram and Facebook. But as always, thank you for listening. Stay safe, and for myself, happy Phantoming.
Happy Phantoming.